Holy crap. I've been speaking the dead air and the mic wasn't on. I'm gonna Jesus. Well, nobody's watching anyway, so I just gotta edit out the front half of this terrible thing. Nobody's gonna go back and watch the beginning after after I save it. Hello, everybody. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. What a disaster that was. I started off and I've been talking for 10 minutes with the mic off. So everybody, how you doing? It's Friday. Welcome back. It is, what is it, March 2026. Oh, Lordy. I just talked for 10 minutes. Oh, nobody's listening. So the mic could be on, the mic could be off, right? Doesn't matter. Oh, man. What a no shit show like our shit show. How you doing? My name is John. This is my channel, your Renaissance man. I'm doing daily news live, usually weekdays around 10 a.m. And a lot of these live streams will be converted to videos. And that's maybe how you'll discover us, maybe. I don't know. But if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe. That's what helps us out the most as a new channel. If you've subscribed already, if you could continue to support us by the like, commenting, or sharing. So I started doing this style of videos, inspired by Sticks and Hammer. He does daily videos, or he did do daily videos. He's on hiatus, not sure what's going on, but we're not here to gossip about Sticks. Looks like he's having some life issues. Hopefully he gets his stuff back together and comes back to YouTube. He's greatly missed. I like his style of content, like his views on things, just like to listen to him. So I decided to do something similar. Basically, I come up with a list of 5 or 6 things I headlines from the news that are of interest to me, and then just talk to about them. Usually we spend about an hour to 2 hours. Sometimes we have guests. I've already had a friend of mine on here a couple times, and he is currently sailing across the Atlantic Ocean in a sailboat. He is going from Bermuda to Ireland. His name is Darwin. So we're expecting to reconnect with him in mid-April when he gets to Ireland, Northern Ireland. But today I want to talk about. I've been doing a 30-day health thing, meaning trying to get my life back in order. Been off the wagon with my health for years now, and I just want to get back to where I was. I want to talk a little bit about marriage and divorce. I want to talk about 83-year-old man that was killed in New York City, tossed in front of a subway. That was on Sunday. There's also a big rule change in the Olympics that was just announced yesterday. And a little bit about Minnesota gun law. I'm in the state of Minnesota, the once great state. And yeah, they're trying to force a lot of gun legislation on us. So, um, let's start out with just my health update. So, I'm on a 30-day quest to see what I can do in 30 days to improve my health. Starting out at like 260ish pounds. My ideal weight I think, medically speaking, my ideal weight's like 170-ish, mid 170s, high 170s. I've been that low. I didn't like it. I thought it was too thin for me. I didn't like the way I looked. My comfort weight to me is like 190-ish. So yeah, we're talking 70 pounds over right now. But so my goal is to get down 50 and then fine tune it. So how did I start this? I started out with a doctor's visit. I started out with a 24-hour fasting, trying to kind of purge my appetite and kind of get my cravings back in order, or my eating. And I'm quitting high sugar foods altogether. And well, I shouldn't say that. I still have ice cream here and there, but it's not like it was, it's more of a treat occasionally and not a daily type thing. And I'm giving up soda. Soda was my source of caffeine. I never drank diet soda. So I was taking on a lot of calories every day that weren't getting burned. And that's piling up on weight and all that happy stuff as you get older. If you're not paying attention, it sneaks up onto you. And the next thing you know, you're fat and unhealthy and don't feel good. So, like I said, about 7 days ago, I dropped soda, dropped most of my high sugar stuff, did a 24-hour fast, had a doctor's visit, did a blood test. Blood test came back good with the exception of high cholesterol, which I was kind of banking that that was going to happen. I had high cholesterol in the past, but not this high. So we're way up there now. Now we're like 260 combined. So we got to get that down. So we're going to start exercising daily also. Haven't implemented that yet, but that's coming very, very soon. So that's where I'm at with my health journey. The biggest thing is the soda getting out of my system and not running to the cravings of soda. It's my go-to when I got stress and whatever. So it's kind of trying to reprogram myself. So, since talking about life stuff, let's transition into the marriage and divorce stuff I wanted to talk about. And this was topic that came up because I got two friends that are in the divorce arena right now, and one of them had an update yesterday, which got me thinking about kind of two different angles of it, which I thought were of interest. The one is in a 14-year marriage, first marriage, got two kids together, home and cars and, your stereotype marriage, your prototypical marriage, whatever you want to call it. And the love is gone type thing. I don't know if they've tried to reconcile, fix things, or worked on relation. That's not the point of this. So I met up with him for breakfast a while back, and he dropped it on. We hadn't talked. It was unbeknownst to me all at this time, and he dropped it on me. He's like, "Yeah, everything's great except at home." He says we're basically roommates and don't really do anything. And he goes, "We got kids, and if we didn't have kids, I'd probably just walk away from it." And he just kept focusing on trying to make it smooth and not hurt anyone, and all that kind of stuff. And which I admire him for that, and shows he still cares for her, which is good. I mean, that's an endearing quality. He's a good dad, and she's a good mom. We're not making anybody the enemy here, but he's like, I just want to make it easy. I'm like, well, I go, and you guys haven't had talks about this up to this point. You haven't talked anything about this. He says, no. I go, there's not going to be an easy way out of this. You're going to blindside her, and she's going to be emotional, and it's going to go sideways. And if it's not, I go, get your ducks in a row before that. Think of your exit strategy. And I'm not saying this to screw her, but be prepared, have your ducks in a row, know how you want to get out of this, make it favorable for your way of doing it. And then when you're ready, have an attorney already and then run with it. And and I can see some people twisting this who haven't gone through this and say like it's kind of like picking a fight and trying to maliciously get the other person. And what it's no, it's not about that. Once you drop the bomb on the big D, you can't predict how the other person's going to respond. You may know him for a long time, but you're not always on the receiving end of when she doesn't like what's being told to her. I mean, granted, you do have that stuff in your relationship, but this flips the script. Now you're not buddies anymore. Now you're not life partners. Now you're adversaries, basically. And that's the way it's going to be seen by most people. So yeah. So and here's an example why. So the other friend, she's in like a 5-year marriage or something like that. And she's had more than one marriage, and she's done this before. Not to belittle her, say anything negative about her. I mean, she's had experience with going through all the crap that goes with a divorce. So months ago, we had talked, and she had told me about that felt like it was over type stuff, kind of like this guy, like the guy, like my male friend. And she was already, and I didn't ask her about any details, and she just started talking out loud about exit strategy. Well, this is in my name. I don't have to worry about this and this and this and da 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 da, and that's in my name, so I got control over that and blah 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 blah. And there she is. And I'm like, oh, she's got it figured out. And I'm not friends with him. I mean, I know him through her. We weren't friends before they met. So I've known her for 15, 20 years. I don't know what, known her for a long time. Only know him because they got married. And we've all hung out together, but it's like my nose isn't getting into it. I'm not gonna be anything but supportive to either one of them and nod my head. So So yesterday on Facebook, she posted a bunch of drama, and it's like, oh crap, there it is. This is months later after she told me. And yeah, she got her ducks in a row. That's for her best interest. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but you got to look out for you at that point. I mean, don't disregard the kids ever. Always think about kids if you got kids involved. But for for your well-being moving forward, don't think you're a team and you're going to get, this nice discussion of kumbaya, holding hands type stuff and not going to have any problems and it's going to be drama free. No, yeah, yeah, yeah. It has happened. It's just not likely. So look out for yourself. What other crap is going on in the world that I thought was of interest? The Olympics. The Olympics dropped the bomb yesterday. They're no longer allowing biological men to compete in any women's sports and will be verified through a SRY gene screening, a one-time screening. So meaning if you're applying for a female sport, you're going to be screened and verified as a male or a female. And if you're verified as a female, you get to compete in female sports. So, it's kind of a sign that, yeah, we're not going to let men, biological men, be in women's sports and overpower them, or being in the full physical contact events where, you can definitely have an advantage having male genes, male hormones, that kind of stuff. I mean, granted, some of these transitioning people are on hormone treatment and that kind of stuff, but still, there's biological differences between us. There's a reason why women are blessed with the ability to give birth and why men aren't. You know, there's, there is no even trade between men and women. We're different, embrace our differences. Don't try to gray and muddy the differences and just say, we can all do the same thing if we want to, and you're the piece of crap for not believing in us. You gotta, at some point, you gotta look at reality and just accept that men are men, women are women. There's things that are different about them. It's not to negate, be negative about either one of them. It's just different, and men beating up on women in boxing and full contact sports. No, 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 no. That's uncalled for. Men dominating because of physical benefits of being a male, but saying they're a female, like in swimming and sports like that we've, been forced to recognize or, pay attention to. Yeah, we fought a long time. There was a valiant fight for women not that many years ago. I mean, it was slightly before my lifetime, but we fought for women's rights, and now we're trying to muddy it up and mix men in with it. And it's like, don't do that. You're catering to a less than 1% of the population who want to compete in female sports just to take it away from women. Why do you want to take that away from women after what they've gone through to get where they're at today? It's bullshit. Don't, it's a good thing. I don't care what anybody says. It's a good thing. So, another thing happened Sunday. Oh, this poor guy, 83-year-old Richard Williams, Air Force veteran living in New York City. Sunday, he was on a subway platform. We don't know a lot of details. If it was completely unprovoked, doesn't matter. You got an 83-year-old man, and for whatever reason, 34-year-old Baron Hernandez pushes him off the platform in front of a subway and kills him. So Mr. Hernandez, what's the favorite thing we have with these type of situations? He's an illegal. He shouldn't be here. He's been deported 4 times and found his way back somehow. He's had 15 charges of various crimes since his interactions with law enforcement since he's been here. And now he's been charged with murder. Why are we protecting why is there a movement to protect people in this country that are doing heinous crimes to our women, to our seniors, vulnerable people, people that aren't as, capable to defend themselves against their attackers? This is BS. People are defending these illegals that are, you know, we're all in favor of people doing legal immigration. What is that? Why? Because they're hopefully they get properly vetted. What does that mean? We check their backgrounds. Are these people a piece of crap? Are they somebody that can benefit, that we can benefit from? They're going to be a productive member of society. They're going to produce. They're here to do good. They're going to go through you know, the process of becoming a citizenship. And, they want to be here. They're looking out for America. And then we got people that are just skating across the border, like this person, you know, Baron Hernandez, 34 years old, who's his first time being deported was 2008. The last time he was deported was 2020. So he's been here for 5 years this last time, and now he's murdered. He's graduated to murder. He pushed a 83-year-old Air Force vet. Yeah, that's bullshit. We got somebody who's given their time to our country to protect us, and we got part of our population trying to defend these illegals, and these poor people deserve, they deserve freedom. They deserve America. No, this guy doesn't. This guy deserves jail or electric chair, gas chamber. I don't know. That's what that guy deserves at this point. He doesn't deserve to be protected. He's been deported several times. He illegally keeps coming back. New York's a sanctuary city. They protect people no matter what their background. This is bullshit. This guy needs to go away. We just had something very similar to this. What was her name? Sheridan Gorman, which was, I mean, she was from New York, but she was murdered in Chicago over the weekend. So this 83-year-old gentleman was murdered on Sunday. And we just found out about this yesterday. Today's Friday. So they were kind of holding that out of the news. It took till Thursday to hear about this, and Miss Sheridan Gorman out of New York, who was murdered in Chicago. She was like Saturday at 1:30 in the morning. She was shot by Jose Medina, 25-year-old undocumented illegal immigrant, whatever you want to call him. Just another piece of crap that shouldn't be here. So we got another situation. We got an illegal killing somebody more, overpower, where he can overpower him, vulnerable, can't defend himself as well, a female. And then we got one attacking an 83-year-old man who's an Air Force veteran, give his time saved to serve our country to help us. And we got people trying to protect these people. These pieces of shit need to go. Send them away. Stop protecting them. Deport them. Deport all the people doing this. We'll give them the kindness of calling them people, but yeah, they need to go away. We need to be done with these folks. Sorry. Come back legally, and that's the other thing. Deport yourself now. If you deport yourself, you can't come back legally. If you get deported, you're done. You will have a target on your back. Anyways, so let's go on to the next subject. Talked about the Olympics, minutes. Okay. Uh Minnesota gun law. I've been doing a few standalone videos on that. Last night, meaning Thursday night, the 26. Yeah. State legislature tried to slam through the automatic or the semi-automatic. Basically, we're calling it the assault weapon ban. Don't jump on my ass for saying assault weapon. That's the terminology they use, and that's the terminology most people recognize. I know it's a BS term that was made up just to scare people, but we got to use it in legal regards, even though anyways, you get my drift. So it was the assault weapon ban and the magazine ban. They tried to slam it through last night, calling for urgency, meaning they need to deal with it now. The stuff was struggling committee and they were trying to force it through. So, and they brought it to vote. And and scary thing, so they're sidestepping procedure. This stuff was struggling in committee and they brought it to vote. That's how aggressive the Democrats are right now to pass gun law in Minnesota. You gotta we gotta keep supporting. Let's bring their name up. There it is. Minnesota Gun Caucus owners. Support these guys. These are the ones that actually bring up lawsuits. They're the ones that actually fight for us on our behalf. They're the ones who are, if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna donate money to anybody, donate to them first before you donate anybody else. There's other gun groups that say they represent our state. A lot of them just scream on the internet, but Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus actually does boots on the ground type stuff. They start lawsuits. They have a legal team. They actively pursue this stuff for our interest, meaning interest of gun owners. So support these folks. And I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I'm not a they're not sponsored by them, whatever. I am just trying to get the word out as best I can to help us preserve the Second Amendment in Minnesota. So fudge, wrong button. That one. There we go. Um so yeah, so the magazine ban was a 10 round or more deal, like typical, but then it was the stipulations on it were terrible. Just like on the assault weapon ban, both of them were after a certain date. If you wanted to possess them, you needed to register them. And I believe it was your county sheriff. And then you had basically like a permitting process and you had to renew the permit. So, and then if you didn't, then I think it was a felony being in possession of them. I'm not sure if it was straight to a felony, if it was an expired permit, but if you possessed it after the date um without registering it, then I think it'd be in a felony. But I think if you missed your renewal process, your recertification or your permitting, whatever, I think that might have been a misdemeanor. But either way, you would now, these things would now be illegal to own, and caught with them, you'll suffer the consequences, and the assault weapon thing. And it's kind of BS to call it assault weapon, because when people think assault weapons, they think AR-15s all the time. But the verbiage was such that it could have encompassed pistols and shotguns and hunting rifles. So it's calling an assault weapon ban isn't really true. It was more of it was basically a semi-automatic weapons ban. That was the gist of it. They were trying to basically get rid of everything that was the semi-automatic action of the firearm. And so both of them, meaning the firearm ban and the magazine ban, were tied together in the way that, oh, we're not gonna strip you of it, but you're gonna have to register with your sheriff, and now register everything that you have that falls under this, and then you're gonna have to pay for, a permit or whatever it is, and then you're gonna have to renew it every so many years. Which, what happens with that stuff when you don't renew it? Now you're a criminal for not renewing it. You slipped your mind. Who thinks about, it's like it's setting you up to fail. So eventually you're just gonna not follow through with it, give up on it. It's putting failure in their favor, meaning you falling through, not following through type stuff. Anyways, it's a stinky mess. Anyways, not that there would have been any endearing part of this if that verbiage wasn't in there, but it's setting you up to be a criminal, is what it is. Yeah, just stinky, stinky legislation just meant to hurt us, meaning gun owners. And they're also working on the binary trigger thing, and that's failing, thankfully. The preemption law they're trying to change so cities can have their own gun laws that are different from the state, and cities have already preemptively been passing firearm bans in their communities, even though they're not legal at this time, in anticipation, if this passes. Like, I believe the city of St. Paul they did pass an assault weapons ban, which basically gets rid of AR-15s and similar type firearms, and in anticipation of passing this, and then they can just rubber stamp it through, and now you're legal to own these style of weapons in the city of St. Paul. Now you're a criminal. Your way out is to get rid of that firearm, move out of that area, just surrender it to law enforcement. You're being stripped of your rights, literally. And what do you do as somebody who's driving through it? St. Paul is one of our largest cities. How do you conduct business in that part of the world if you're a legal firearm possessor and you're concealed carrying legally or transporting a firearm? It just opens the door on a lot of crappy laws. And the reason we have to deal with it early, and the reason why you got to support groups like Minnesota Gun Caucus owners or Gun Owners Caucus, is to head it off before they get the foot in the door. It's so much easier to stop it now than it is after it's a law. After it's a law, it can take years to get rid of. That is a long, arduous process, expensive. And just because they start that process, you can't you can't predict the future. What if that organization or the lawyers run out of funding and they can no longer you know, support the case to keep it going, and then it dies because we lose the attorneys. It becomes too expensive and there's no funding. This is grassroots type stuff. We're not backed by large corporations to preserve our gun rights. So it's very grassroots. So they need your support to keep this stuff going. And it's much cheaper to do it on the front end before it becomes a law than it is to take years and years of time, thousands of hours of time, thousands and thousands of dollars to hopefully get it overturned, which isn't guaranteed either, depending on, because now that the court system is getting political also, it's a very slippery slope. Support these guys, support, like Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus before it happens. That's the best thing you can do if you can't do anything else. So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna try to do this daily around 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm cutting it short today. I gotta go get a haircut. Um, yeah, you may see me wearing the stocking cap all the time, but I'm not hiding. I'm not hiding male pattern baldness or anything. I just hate the mess of hair I have some days. So we're gonna go get her trimmed and get it back down to my ears now that we're heading into warmer weather and we're heading into the weekend. So we're gonna work on hopefully having a nice weekend. I think Sunday here is supposed to be in the 60s or thereabouts. I think we got a forecast of like mid 60s for Sunday, which is beautiful for here this time of year because our average high in Minnesota, late March, I think it's probably in the 40s. So it's a good 20 degrees warmer. We're ready for it. We've had kind of a weaker winter, which good and bad. Bad for the people that plow snow, bad for the people that like winter sports. For people that hate winter, it just makes it more tolerable. So, anyways, we got lots of stuff lined up for next week. I think I got one guest for sure coming up. Well, I got one guest for sure coming up after Easter. I have another guest in the works, and that's to talk about men's health. The other guest is to talk about ADHD. So we're not going to be just political type stuff. That's not going to be the focus of this channel. It's just kind of stuff in and around me and my world and little daily vlogging and turn them into short videos and blah, 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 something like that. And I get to go blah, blah, blah because we're trying to make a more real video, straight talk, not highly scripted. I'm just going to have bullet points in my little cheater sheet with some notes and try to back it up a little bit with some facts so I'm not completely talking out of my ass and go from there. So, hope you're all doing well. Take care of each other, watch out for each other, get to know your neighbors, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and God bless and stay safe. Talk to you Monday.